Hello and welcome to Round Peg in a Square Hole. I'm your host, Wolfe, and he's a man that needs no introduction.
Should I stop being silent?
Yes. If you were to be run over, Dad, which way would you choose to be run over?
I think I'd choose to be run over by run over and killed, you mean, right?
Well, let's say we're presuming we die at the end of the running over.
Okay. Oh, well, if that were the case, and I was going to die one way or another, I'd prefer to die as quickly as possible.
So you're saying head first?
Instantly as possible by the biggest, nastiest, fastest moving object you could possibly imagine.
No, that's not being run over. That's just being obliterated then.
Well, okay, it's the heaviest thing, man. I mean, you don't want to hang around watching all your insides oozing out all around you and think, no, fuck, this isn't very good.
No, at least you get to see what your insides look like for a bit.
Yeah, I just don't. For me, son, I would prefer not, and I prefer to forego that extreme agony and fear, and have it happen as quickly as possible. So whether the vehicle had large tires or tracks or any other means of conveying itself across the surface of the ground, I prefer to really have it happen quickly, instantly, if possible.
Well, I was talking. So you're talking head down to the toes, so your head gets crushed first.
Yeah. Usually, when people say run over, sometimes it doesn't mean you're actually run over. You could just be hit by it.
Well, no, I'm not talking about bouncing off the bonnet and then slamming into the windshield. I'm talking about, you're already laying on the ground pretty much, and it's running you over. It's crushing.
Yeah, crushed under the wheels or tracks.
Yeah.
Which I believe is what happened, as far as I know.
Well, yeah, especially if it's one of those trucks. Weren't they quite sort of high profile and had a high clearance?
Yeah, if it was a truck, it was probably your off road type thing that would have been fairly high slung.
So the poor bastard was probably smacked in the face by some bit of jutting out metal and fell on his ass and then was run over, crushed.
Probably. Yeah.
Unless the bull bar destroyed his brain.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, let me get the notes. I wasn't a witness to it, or I didn't have really inside knowledge. I only really heard the rumours as such, but I'd imagine that he probably just got hit and knocked down, and then while he was down, the thing just rolled over the top of him. Is what I imagine probably happened.
Got hit, and that was it.
Got hit and crushed. So what about you, son? How would you like to be? What would be your preference for the running over?
Being run over? I think I'd like to sort of be perpendicular to the thing being run over, so I can kind of get squashed in the middle, like a cartoon character.
Oh, I see. So you sort of fall down. Yeah, I see. So you fall down sort of sideways and it runs over your middle.
Yeah, so hopefully it's a small enough and heavy enough vehicle where I kind of get like a double thing going on.
No, explain double thing.
Okay, so it kind of maybe it crushes my sort of my my femurs in my leg, but it also sort of crushes my torso. So the rest of me kind of looks normal except for those two bits.
Oh, I see. So it might have, like the wheels on the back would be double wheel,
Yeah.
and yeah, I see what you mean. So you're from your ankles down, you're just fine, and from the shoulders up, you're okay, but everything in between's
No,
got
no.
some
My
really.
midsection's also fine.
Is it?
Yeah, my
Oh, right.
stomach's fine.
Oh, I see. So there's a bit of space between the two wheels.
Yeah, I got run over like by a really heavy smart car.
Yeah. Right. So your pelvis, between your knee and your pelvis, it's kind of crushed,
Yeah,
and so is your
it's
chest.
thin. It's thin, mate.
Right. Gotcha. It's it's rather thin and flat.
Yeah.
It's got something of a lower profile than what it used to have.
Yeah, it's like a tortilla that's been I don't know, sat on by something heavy. I was gonna say an elephant, but then I thought that was cliche and I couldn't come up with anything else.
How about a rhinoceros? They're pretty heavy.
No, they don't exist anymore, Dan. Only in zoos.
Rhinoceros. Oh, God, does they exist?
No, only in zoos, mate.
No, I've seen them in the wild, man.
Oh, have you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
when we're in Nepal.
when you're finishing off the last one, I bet you were.
Yeah, one came running at us.
Yeah, but that was in the 80s.
No, that was 91.
Oh, whatever, same difference.
Difference. um, yeah, there was a group of us. That was when we were in Chitwan National Park in Nepal, and we went out with a little guide, a local fellow, and there was about 5 of us. Your mother and I, and a couple, an English couple, and another guy, I think. The large lump of hash that he was smoking constantly to try and finish off before he had to fly back home in a few days. So obviously he didn't want to take the risk of taking it home with him on a flight. So he was constantly smoking it and trying to, urge others around him to help him get through it all. So when we went out on this walk on foot in the national park to look, and there were plenty of rhinos around. He was in a heightened state of sensitivity, let's say.
Yeah, well, that's what hash does, isn't it? It sort of the higher sort of helps you focus a bit more. It doesn't sort of mong you out like other inhalants.
Well, yeah, sometimes it probably depends a bit on your prevailing mood at the time, the sort of person you are, perhaps. But
I thought, well, that's my general consensus of the hash high.
Right. Anyway, regardless of exactly what high he may have been experiencing, a slightly altered state compared to the normal state of mind. And
which also depends on what sort of person you are.
That's right, because that's all very relative. That's quite right. And but when we heard and felt the ground shaking thumping of a nearby rhino,
that's pretty cool.
In the scrub,
even cooler.
And we hadn't seen it at this stage. And the guide up front determined that it was quite close and we should take evasive action, which he had outlined earlier in case we did need to do this. The instructions were to climb the nearest tree.
Yep.
So when we did hear that, in fact, before the guide even sort of said, okay, we better take evasive action.
He was already up a tree.
We were kind of in a single file, and as soon as we heard that first bump, the stoned Englishman turned immediately to 180 degrees, so he was facing me, and the terror on his face and his bulging eyes was just beautiful. It was more interesting than even seeing a rhino up close in its natural environment. And he ran, mate. He fucking ran. It was like out of a cartoon.
He ran like the clappers.
He did, like the arms out in front, the classic cartoon character running from something, arms out front, just pumping through, mate. He just ran.
Cool.
This rhino did appear quite close, so we all sort of scrambled and got in hiding places. I think by this stage she was already about 6 meters up a tree. If you'd said that, I'm quite sure if you'd said that same guy, hey, climb that tree, without any other motivation, he would have said, oh, fuck that, I can't climb the tree.
Yeah.
But in this case, with the suitable motivation, he was up there in a few seconds.
Well, that's the beauty of humanity. You've got to make stuff worth something doing before humans pull their finger out the arse and actually figure out how to do something.
Yeah, that's true, Sam. Very true. Motivation is key.
Yeah. Probably one of the cornerstones why money exists and works the way it does.
Yeah, greed's the other big one there when it comes to money and reward. But certainly motivation, especially when it's like self-preservation, that works pretty damn well.
Yeah, generally. Well, you had another story about would you have anything more to add before I go off on a tangent? Do you have anything more to add about the rhino story?
No, that's what I remember mostly about that day, was that the beautiful picture of terror painted on that young man's face.
Maybe you should look him up on Facebook if you know his name, and then we can send this to him.
I don't actually know his name, but anyway, he was probably wearing a VB shirt from memory.
That's very British. Very British.
Yeah, they tend to do those. Maybe it was a Foster's shirt, I'm not sure. But I do have a picture of us standing in a narrow boat on that same trip in the national park, because we had to cross a river, and it was a very narrow boat where we were instructed to stand up in it, not rather than sit down, because I think it was so narrow that you could stand but not really comfortably sit.
So who was in charge of the boat?
Oh, the same young guide who was taking us out. He was a young local.
Was he stood or sat?
No, everyone was stood up. And,
okay. I thought it was like a funny trick the locals did for stupid Westerners. It's like, oh, everyone stand up, and then like he sat down.
Well, from memory, he stood up. Pretty sure he did. I actually took photographs. I remember it more vividly because I took the photograph and seen the photograph since. But I was standing towards the back of the boat, so most people were in front of me, and I took this photograph, and the young man's girlfriend, she felt rather unbalanced, very unsteady, and thought that she was going to fall out, which it did feel rather strange standing in this boat. So she bent over. So she remained standing, but bent over and clasped the sides of the boat with her hands. So she's standing right in front of me, bent over with her ass out at me. So I thought this was worth a photo.
So you got your selfie stick out?
No, it was long before those things existed. No, I'm not in the photo. I'm not in any of them because I'm behind it. I'm not a selfie person like all the bankers these days. I hope I'm not offending anyone. So, anyway.
I'm sure you are, Dad, but they're not in the room at the moment.
Okay, good. They're the two things I remember most about that particular excursion. On another day, we did see a tiger, actually in the wild, so that was pretty exciting.
Yeah, but you polished that one off as well.
Yeah, put a bullet in its head immediately.
Yeah, straight through the neck.
Stinking animals.
ruining nature.
No, it was. We're actually at that stage. We were travelling. We weren't on foot. We were standing up in the back of this old Land Rover, which was extremely loud. It probably had a few holes in its exhaust system, so it was making a hell of a racket. And I thought to myself, as we were bashing along through the bush, making all this incredible noise, I thought, well, if there is any animals out there, they'd be gone about a mile before we get there because, they'll hear us coming. But the tiger, being the king of the jungle,
being the apex predator.
That's right. It wasn't about to be scared off by an approaching engine. So it was actually just hanging around the side of the track.
And he probably moved in closer because he heard something coming up the road.
Yes, well, that's right. It could have been. But he was in his classic environment. It was long grass, so his stripes were really camouflaging him quite well. But he was quite visible because we got within.
It was disrupting your visual acuity. Acuity? What you say?
Yeah, we can probably use that term.
What is that word I'm using there, Dad? Being an English teacher, because it's your visual accuracy, but you don't say accuracy. Is it acuity?
There is. Acuity, I think, refers more to it's not accuracy, but well, it's kind of, because I think it's like the sharpness, or with what sort of relief you can discern an image. How much sharpness.
Well done.
How much sharp.
Well done, Dad. You're like a walking dictionary or a thesaurus.
Yeah, sort of sharpness, and also how much it stands out from its background. So there's contrast involved there.
Nice.
Anyway, it let us get fairly close before it just very slowly turned and obviously decided this wasn't anything it could have for dinner, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So it just sort of wandered off very slowly into the grass, and they turned the Land Rover off the track and sort of went after it. It wasn't a high-speed chase; it was just walking, but it kept going because it knew,
couldn't get in his car.
This is bullshit. I'm not interested. So it just sort of kept walking, and after about 50 meters, it sort of went into some trees and across the creek, so we couldn't follow it any further. So we got a glimpse of it. It wasn't a really beautiful, clear view, but we did certainly see it. I think I got a shot. I'll have to go back through my shots and see. I got a shot of it. You can sort of see the outline of it through the tall grass.
Yeah, see, I knew you fucking killed the bastard. I hope you enjoyed that insight into what it might have been like to be in the Australian Army in the 80s. Now, granted, there wasn't much talk about actually being in the Army in Australia in the 1980s, but that's to follow. That was just a promo to get your feet wet. We didn't want to throw you in to the deep end too soon. Now, you may also be wondering, Jesus, that's pretty fucking abhorrent quality. You have to deal with that because sometimes I just turn into a robot and I'm not editing out an echo for you now or anybody in future. So you could just deal with the echo robot that shows up from time to time, and hopefully he'll never show up again. Assuming it's a he. I wouldn't want to gender the robot after all.